Welcome back to the Reconcilence Review Show. It's the second week of November, and that means we have 3 jazz album reviews left for the month. Now, last week we discussed the collaborative album from Nat King Cole and George Shearing, Nat King Cole Sings, George Shearing Plays. This week we'll be talking about the album A Man Called Adam, which is the soundtrack to a film of the same name starring Sammy Davis Jr., with supporting roles from other jazz legends such as Mel Torme, Frank Sinatra Jr., and Louis Armstrong, who all contribute to the soundtrack composed by the masterful Benny Carter. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into our review of 1966's A Man Called Adam. The first song is called All That Jazz, main title. The title track of the album. This one is an instrumental version played masterfully by the great Benny Carter and his band. This version is energetic, lively, and jazzy as hell. The arrangement definitely lives up to its namesake. I give this one a 10 out of 10. The next song is called I Want to Be Wanted. By far one of my favorite Sammy Davis Jr. songs, the other being Whisper to One, which is also on this album. Now, it's songs like this that prove that he could hold his own with Martin and Sinatra if he really wanted to. And as much as I love Frank and Dean, this song just wouldn't have been the same if either one of them had performed it. I'm sure it still would have been great, but this song is purely Sam. The cadence, the inflections, and the raw sincerity of the pain just ooze through every second of the composition. When I show people Davis's music, this is one of the 2 songs that I always lead with. The other is coming up later on the same album. I give this one another 10 out of 10. The next song is called Go Now. A short instrumental performed once again by Benny Carter. I love the instrumental songs on this soundtrack as much as the ones with vocals. A lot of them remind me of Yoko Kanno and the Seatbelts' work on the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack, which is damn near flawless in every aspect of its execution. Another really strong song here. I give this one another 10 out of 10. The next song is called Someday Sweetheart. One of my absolute favorite Louis Armstrong songs. You can always count on good old Satchmo to come and put a smile on your face. I mean, how can he not? The jovial spirit he brings to all of his songs and performances is truly out of this world. This is that song you play to that 2-timing bitch before you kick her trifling ass to the curb once and for all. It's not sad or melancholy by any means. It's like waking up to a brand new life without that cancer of a woman to bring you down. Louis says it best when he starts the song with, "Oh, someday, sweetheart, you may be sorry for what you've done to my poor heart. You may regret the vows you've broken, the things you did that made us drift apart." The verse leads into the following instrumental section, and let me tell you, not only is Armstrong's voice unmistakably unique to only him, but the man can play one mean trumpet. I mean, it's so expressive that it's mesmerizing every single time you hear it. It's like speaking a language of the heart and soul that could never be put into words. The way he emphasizes certain notes and holds and slides through others is remarkable. You just feel it in every fiber of your being. He ends the song with, "And as you sow, so shall you reap, dear. And what you reap will make you weep someday, sweetheart." There's nothing left to say. 10 out of 10. The next song is called Ain't I. Again performed by Benny Carter, as are a lot of the instrumentals on this album. And once again, it very much gives off the vibes of Yoko Kanno and the Seatbelts. Very energetic, like being stuck in traffic during rush hour. Another 10 out of 10. The next song is called Soft Touch. Carter does an excellent job here, seamlessly switching gears from the high-octane approach to a more mid-tempo arrangement. In my head, I just see a wealthy broad with her highfalutin mindset strutting through the spot like she's queen fucking shit. Oddly, it also brings to mind TC, the titular character from Hanna-Barbera's Top Cat. Not one of my favorite songs on the album, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. I give it an 8 out of 10. The next song is called Claudia. This is by far my favorite instrumental song on the album. I even sampled this in one of my beats from a few years ago called Melancholy Rations, which you can hear through the link below if anyone is interested. This song, the composition, this particular arrangement, the atmosphere encompassing it, feels like its own distinct flavor of melancholy. One of my favorite jazz instrumentals of all time. 10 out of 10. The next song is called All That Jazz.
I'm in love with you and all that jazz.
This is the second of the 3 versions that are on this album. We already went through the instrumental a bit earlier, and this version is performed by Mr. Mel Torme. Now this version swings like it's nobody's business. I'm not too familiar with Torme's catalog, I'm still getting to know his music. I actually found out about him through the classic 80s sitcom Night Court and how obsessed Judge Stone was with him. Now from what I've heard thus far, he's pretty decent. Not on the level of the Rat Pack and their peers, but still quite good. Personally, I think Louis Armstrong would have been better suited to this song, but it's still a swinging good time regardless. I give it a 7 out of 10. The next song is called Back of Town Blues. The beginning of this song reminds me of Elvis Presley's classic hit, Heartbreak Hotel. Something about that bluesy piano intro just harkens back to that for me. Speaking of blues, this is by far the most blues-influenced jazz song on this album. I'd even go as far as to say it's more blues than jazz. Now we're graced once again by the trumpet playing and singing of Mr. Armstrong, who does an excellent job of making the listener relate to the plight of a man who didn't know what he had until it was gone. The lesson being that karma's a fucking bitch and infidelity always comes back to bite you in the ass. He says it plain and simple through his crooning, but it's the trumpet that tells the real story here. I give this one a 9 out of 10. The next song is called Night Walk. This one has a real noir feel to it. You can just picture a private eye in the 1940s trying to solve a crime, bewildered by the circumstances of said crime, taking a swig from his flask while smoking a cigarette, trying to contemplate the who, what, where, when, and why. Not necessarily the strongest track on the album for me, but it makes up for that with its great imagery. I mean, it's so vivid, I don't know what else to say. Regardless, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. The next song is called Whisper to One. Now this is the other Sammy Davis Jr. song on the album that I alluded to earlier on in the review. This is one of the man's greatest. No, it is, I'd say it is the greatest in his entire catalog of music. This is Sammy Davis Jr. at his peak. He approaches this tune in only the way that he could do it. It really is understated how goddamn good this song is. It's as good as anything from Sinatra's In the Wee Small Hours album, or anything from Dean Martin or Nat King Cole's top projects. This song sort of serves as a companion piece to the Back of Town Blues song, as the emotion and subject matter here heavily parallel that one. The difference is while Armstrong was depicting a heartbroken man tormented and regretful due to his own actions, Davis evokes the feeling that he's been there before and is weighing the consequences of going back there again. This song is a true gem and a timeless jazz classic. 10 out of 10. The next song is called Claudia Part 2. Now this is an alternative rendition of the first Claudia. It's fairly similar to that as far as the arrangement is concerned, but somehow this one comes off across as even sadder. The tempo is slightly different, not by too much, and I can't quite put my finger on what exactly sets this one apart from the first version except the beginning section. In the original, the main melody just starts immediately, while this one has a slower build-up to it. The best way I can describe it is, the first one has the sadness lingering around the corner, within sight but still out of reach, while this one is like meeting that sadness face to face with nowhere to run. You surrender to it, walking the path of a lonely moonlit street in the wee small hours of the morning. Again, it really has a lot of that Cowboy Bebop flavor to it. Yoko Kanno and the Seatbelts could have easily written this, and although never officially stated by them, I'm sure they must have taken some kind of influence from the soundtrack. Just as beautiful as the first version. 10 out of 10. We're down to the final 2 songs of the album. The next song is called Crack Up, the Playboy theme. Now this song comes at a very pivotal point in the film. I won't give direct spoilers, but I'll say that it's performed by Sammy Davis Jr. and the scene ends in a crazy way. Again, the melody is reminiscent of the Cowboy Bebop score. I know I've repeated myself and said this several times, but the influence of this is all over the music for that anime. If you don't believe me, check it out for yourself and tell me I'm wrong. I give this one an 8 out of 10. And the final song of the album is the third version of the song, All That Jazz, the end title.
And all that jazz played his
This one, like the previous rendition, is once again performed by Mel Torme. This is also the last song of the film and plays in the very last scene. Now I won't state the lyrics here because I'm assuming a lot of you folks have not seen the film and I don't want to spoil it for you if you do decide to check it out. As the lyrics they pretty much give away what happens, I'll just say that. And also, I'd say it's the top side of the previous two versions from earlier on. You have to listen to it to see what I mean. A fitting way to end the film and the album. I give this one a 9 out of 10. Overall, this is a great album to a great film. For any of you who already have or may be contemplating an interest in jazz music, particularly classic jazz music and classic vocal jazz music, I highly suggest both this album soundtrack and the film it belongs to. There are some real gems here, and everyone involved definitely set out to put their all into it, and that effort shows itself time after time throughout the entire album. I highly recommend this album to everyone, and I give it a full 10 out of 10. I'd like to take this time to thank my editor for all his hard work. You make these videos possible, and I'm eternally grateful to you. And to all of you watching and listening to this, I thank you for your time as well. I've really enjoyed these November jazz reviews thus far, and I'm looking forward to next week. So join me then as we review our next title, Dean Martin's classic 1957 album, Pretty Baby. Until then, everyone, I hope you continue to enjoy your autumn, be safe, and take care of yourself and each other. Goodbye.